three things, all kind of related. Now, the first one is about how you get unlimited cloud storage on Zoom for free. The second one is about protecting or backing up your cloud data. And the third one is about backing up your task managers. Now, the reason I'm talking about these three things together is because it's all about basically saving the nightmare of you losing files and folders and videos, etc., by having thought ahead and planned ahead for the disasters that can possibly happen. I'll tell you some stories about that happened to me over the years, which will hopefully incentivize you to actually go out and do this. These are all relatively cheap things to do, but they can save you literally, in infinite amounts of hassle if you don't do this and something does go wrong. So listen in and learn how to protect you and your business. Okay, so why am I talking about this? Well, I've had a few disasters over the year with regards to my files and folders and videos and all the rest of it. And these things you think will never happen until they do. And I'll give you a little story. So I was sat there, it's about 2 years into this business, systems and outsourcing getting kicked off. We had massive amounts of files and videos, everything stored in our Google Drive at the time. So we were using business Google Drives. And I was messing around doing some training videos. And I inadvertently, while logged into, I thought, with my training account, but I was actually logged into my main account, I deleted the training account because I didn't want to pay for the license anymore. And then and the result was that I actually deleted the entire Google account with everything I owned in. So the fact that I had it all saved in the cloud and all the rest of it was irrelevant because I couldn't access it at all because I deleted the main account. So everything was gone. And there's a few hours when I was speaking to Google support and they're saying, no, there's nothing we can do. That data is gone because you press delete and you press confirm. You're an idiot, basically. And I was an idiot. But thankfully, Google did actually fix it and got me back into my old account, and it all was good. But it was a terrible, terrible few hours. And another time, we've had staff over the years leave for various reasons. And back in the day, before we used our business shared drives that we do now, staff leaves, they've got all their stuff saved in their own personal drive, whatever. And rightly so, they just delete it off their drive because they don't want to fill up their drive with all our stuff. But that means that I lost access to all the work they'd ever done for me when they worked for me because I hadn't actually got it backed up and saved properly. And so these things happen. And we also, we're talking about a task management apps as well, and saving or backing up your task management app. So here I'm talking about Asana, about ClickUp, about Monday, about Zoho, about even your CRMs like HubSpot and things like that. So wherever you're doing your task management, that's incredibly important and valuable data and organization for your business. And we had a message into one of our support groups the other day saying, look, we've lost, in inverted commas, some projects. We don't know where they are. No one says they've deleted them, but they're not there anymore. So obviously someone is accidentally or inadvertently deleted them, couldn't find how to recover them and not owned up to it or something like that. Or it could be just a completely coincidental thing, but they lost all that and had to rebuild it all again, which was a super hassle for them. And so all of these reasons are why you should care about actually backing up some of the critical apps in your business and doing so as cheaply as possible, which is one of the things I always try to do, is to try and find cost-effective ways to do this to still give you the best level of service or best level of whatever, in this case, protection, but without breaking the bank in the process. So that's exactly what I'm going to dive into the next few minutes. I'm going to kick off with Zoom. Now, most of us use Zoom these days, and some of us, like me, record meetings. So all of our internal meetings are recorded. I also record all our sales calls for training purposes and actually send to people afterwards as just evidence of what's been said on the call, so they feel reassured. We're not going to sort of do something different after we've actually got them signed up. I record all my coaching calls. That goes to my clients. They can then review their coaching calls and get their action steps, and all of our group coaching sessions are all recorded. We record massive amounts of video every single day and week, and terabytes of the stuff we've got saved. And if I was to use the Zoom option, the cloud storage option for that, it would literally cost thousands of pounds every single month. The prices may have reduced. I didn't actually check before I come on here, but I'm pretty sure that we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of pounds for the amount of literally terabytes of videos that we have actually stored now. I could go back and delete a load. I could go through and figure out which ones I need to keep or not. And I could do that as a routine thing as we're going forward, or, and there is a sort of archiving period for us, and we delete them after a certain amount of time. But we don't want to actually go through and be really selective. It's just a hassle, and I don't want hassle in my life. I like things simple. And so what we do is something very, very simple, and you can do this yourself. So what we have, we use Google, but the same kind of idea will work perfectly well if you're using Microsoft Office 365, if you're using Dropbox. All you need is a cloud storage software. So in our case, we use Google Shared Drives that has a decent amount of space in it. So when you go for the business levels of stuff, you get terabytes of space typically for included in whatever package you go for. So we're assuming you've got the space to do this in your cloud storage, and then you just literally sync your cloud storage with your desktop. So for Google, it's called Google Drive for Desktop at the moment. They change the name all the time, so don't quote me. And there'll be an equivalent version for Microsoft. And then you select, you create a folder, I should say, for your Zoom meetings. You sync that with the cloud, and then you select for that to only be accessible for online only. So what that means is that anything you put in that folder, it will automatically be uploaded to the cloud and not fill up your hard drive. And this is super important when you're talking about video, because you're talking about every video being hundreds of gigabytes, if it's a long hour-long meeting or whatever. And so you'll quickly build up lots and lots of space or fill up lots of space. And your computer will be crying very quickly if you don't do this. So you want it to go straight to the cloud, sit on the cloud, so you can access it in the cloud. And we'll come to backing that up again later. But then you go into your Zoom settings and set the local drive. You just have to go into the app on the computer, by the way, just in case you can't find the setting. Go into the app on the computer, not in a browser. Open up Zoom, go to settings, go to recordings, find where you save the local files, choose that folder you've just created, which you synced to the cloud, and then you can then set it to automatically record every meeting if you like, or just hit record when you're in the meeting and select record local, and it will record everything directly to a cloud with no fancy software. And it's for free because obviously you're already paying for that storage and probably not using it and not filling up. So this is a good way to fill up and get your money's worth out of your existing storage. So that's basically how we back up all of our Zoom meetings for free. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is backing up task management apps. Now, we've been using Asana in our business, and previous to that, we've used other task management apps. And whatever one you're using, well, not whatever, but most of the ones you're using can easily be backed up. Things like Asana, Basecamp, ClickUp. I've got a list of Airtable, Jira, Monday.com, Trello, To-Do List, Smartsheets, Notion, Zendesk, and Zoho as well. All of those things can easily be backed up amongst other stuff by a simple app that I'm going to show you now. And this is one of those things I didn't know about. I didn't realize you could easily back up my entire task management system, which is basically my entire business. Like if I lost my task management system today, it would be a bloody nightmare, for part of my language, but it would be a disaster. I mean, literally, it's like how we run the world in our business world, so to speak. And like everything is in there. It's all organized. It's like that's how we collate things. That's how we delegate things. That's how we have visibility. That's how we track progress. That's how we do everything. Like it's all in our task management app. So for that to go, pear-shaped, or for that to be deleted or lose access to it, it would be a disaster. And so we simply found a tool called Pro Backup. And there's probably lots of other providers out there, but the one I found was called Pro Backup. It's cheap as chips. It's like $20 or $23 a month for the one that we use. There's different options, depending on the size of your business or whatever, the size of your software that you're trying to back up. But ultimately, it's not expensive. And the peace of mind I get from it is massive, because it means that I now know that if a project's deleted, if somebody does something maliciously or otherwise, I can just go in, find it, reinstall it, done. It does it like 3 or 4 times a day, I think. It basically keeps it completely synced all the way through. And I've also got a second backup in my own Google Drive directly from that software. So even if that software went down, I'll have still got a way to completely restart my entire business from a second backup. And all of that is automated. It literally takes 10 minutes to set up, if that, and it's done for life. And that's it. That is money, in my opinion, completely well spent. But I will give you a little tip when you're using this stuff. Now, I was lucky here because the way that we teach how to share images and how to share files is always to use the link So we use a shared link to an image that's hosted online in Screencast-O-Matic or whatever app you're using, or a video like a Loom video, or Screencast-O-Matic, or a Vimeo video. We never add and upload videos or images or files to our task management app. Or if it's a Google Doc or a PDF, we use the shared link from the cloud storage. And what that means is that we're always accessing the most live, up-to-date version. That's the reason I've always done it, because it means you are never creating duplicates by uploading a copy of something. So when you attach a file to an email, for example, you actually create a copy of it, and now you've got duplicates. So if one's amended and not the other one, you have to then have conflicted copies. So this is my going back years, database design, all the rest of it back in the past. But having conflicted copies is a real nightmare in IT world. And so I stopped doing that as soon as I got Dropbox, like 15 years ago, or whatever it was, 10 years ago. And this really paid well here, because if you are uploading images and videos and files and all the rest of it to something like Asana or whatever it is you're using, ClickUp, whatever, it increases the amount of storage you're using on their cloud storage. Now, when you come to then back that up, you pay per gigabyte of storage. So I can get, because I have almost no data uploaded into Asana except for just literally the sort of the tasks and things, like literally just text, which is like doesn't take up any space. Because I haven't got any images and videos and everything, it's tiny, which means when I went to back it up, I could pay for the cheapest account and get all the bells and whistles, because I've only got a tiny amount of data in there. I've got less than, I think it's 50 gigabytes in Pro backup is the one, or 25 gigabytes is the minimum one. I actually went for the middle option because I wanted to have it also back up custom fields, and anyway, this is more technical stuff. But yeah, you can choose which option you want, but keeping stuff out of your task management app using a link. So basically just utilizing the cloud storage you've already paid for in the way it's intended will actually then end up saving you money on this occasion as well. So that's my recommendation, Pro Backup. I'm sure there's loads of other ones out there, but for me, that is just plug and play, few clicks and you're away. All right, so the last thing I want to just touch on is about backing up your cloud storage. Now, if you're like me, like when you first started using things like cloud storage, like things like Dropbox or whatever, you sort of think that is your backup because you've got it on your PC or your laptop at home, and now you're backing it up into cloud. Suddenly you've got it backed up. And that was the mindset I had for quite a while. But the problem is, you lose your laptop, or your computer breaks down and you can't access it, and you've basically got nothing then on your computer. So you're now reliant on the one backup that's in the cloud. And heaven forbid, however, you were to lose that backup and your laptop at the same time through some freak virus or some malicious attack or some ransom, that's basically locking you out of your accounts or something. And you're basically screwed. And so I wanted to figure out how do I actually double down on the security that I've got. And there's a expression which I'm going to get terribly wrong because I always do, but in computing is when you talk about backing up data and whatever, it's like 1 copy is 0, 2 copies is 1, and 3 copies is 2, or something like that. And so you always have to subtract 1 to be able to be safe, because like with data, like if it's gone, it's gone. So having 1 copy is actually having 0, because at some point it's probably going to get corrupt or lost or virus or something, and so you might as well not bother. So actually, the more the more backups you have, the better. And so that's sort of where the idea comes from. But in simple terms, you just don't want some idiot to delete your stuff by accident or otherwise that messes up your business. And now we've had this in our business. I talked about it earlier. When somebody left, and they weren't an idiot, actually, they're a really nice person, so I'm not trying to call them an idiot, but like they left the company, and because they no longer work for me, they just deleted all the stuff that they did for me because they just presumed I had it. They were really, I spoke to them about it afterwards, and they were super apologetic, but it wasn't malicious. But I lost everything. And so I don't want that to ever happen again. And so therefore I use a tool like this. So the one that I use, unfortunately, is only available if you purchase 30 licenses or more. So for most people, or not for most, for many people, that would probably be a bit of an overkill. It's only like $3 per person. So it's not an expensive app. That's per month for this backup. But yeah, you have to buy 30, so it ends up at $90. Now, I got in before that came a rule, so I actually only have a couple of licenses. And it's a great tool. And sorry, that's called Datto Backupify. So there's a company called Datto, and it's an app called Backupify. I do think it's a great app, but it is unfortunately prohibitively expensive. You might be able to go to a reseller and get it, and but there are other apps out there. One thing I love about that app, which I don't know if it still is the case, is that it was unlimited storage back then when I got it, and it was a few years ago now. They may have capped it like many of the others have as well. But the one I do recommend, although I've only used it in testing purposes for having something to recommend when I couldn't no longer recommend the one I use, is a company called AFI.ai. And so AFI.ai. And they basically do a similar service. It costs the same money, so $3 per person, but there's only a minimum of 5 people, 5 licenses. So it ends up costing you $15 a month. And when you talk about licenses here, what that means is that you can back up an entire account, whether it's in Google or Microsoft or wherever your basically your emails and your calendars and your cloud, your data, your files and your folders, wherever they're stored, you can then basically create a carbon copy of everything and in the cloud in a separate app, completely separate from the provider, so separate from Microsoft or separate from Google, which massively protects you against things like, cyber terrorist attack against Google HackQ or whatever. If this is possible, I don't know. I'm just making this up. Or anything like disastrous going wrong, or being the idiot like I was that deleted, your entire Google account, your main Google account, just delete it off the planet, and sat there, as I said, for about 4.5 hours, literally sweating, thinking, how am I going to tell my business partner I've just deleted our business, until we finally got it sorted. So if you don't want to be an idiot like me, then do something like this and actually get backup sorted. It's relatively cheap. As I said, it's like $3 per head, $15 for the package for AFI.ai. And just one thing to note, if you don't go for AFI.ai, one of the reasons, like I said, one of the reasons I like AFI.ai is when you are growing your company, sometimes you buy a license for somebody for a Google or Microsoft license. They'll work for you for a bit and they'll leave. And this is not when you grow, when you just have a company. People come and go. And for various reasons, you might not want to reuse their license because that would then give the next person sort of access to emails and things which you might not want them to. And so you end up sometimes with lots of deleted accounts in, say, Microsoft or in Google. Now, if you use Google Vault to do your backup, because Google has a vault, and some people might be asking, why don't you just Google Vault? 2 reasons. One is if you delete your account, you still delete your account and you can't access your vault. But the second one is that every account you archive, when you delete it, basically, you still have to pay for in Google Vault. And with AFI.ai and a few other providers, you don't. They just basically, once you've got it in there, it's sat there forever. They just archive the account. You don't pay for it. It means you've always got that backup. Maybe if the tax man comes knocking and you've got to then find some old files or emails that were sent to somebody, or you end up in court with some litigation, I don't know, whatever. I'm making this up, obviously. Then you've got that backup sat there and it's not costing you anything. So there's no quibbles to you to actually keep it long term. So that's it really. There's one thing to mention is just make sure that on some of these cloud backup softwares, if you've got like 10 licenses in Google or in Microsoft, some of them will force you to pay for 10 licenses on their backup software, because basically they want to. They're just aware, I think, that companies like we do is we have one main account where all of our data is stored, and then everyone else just logs in as guests, accesses that data as guests. And so we have lots of data stored for our employees, even though we only have really one user that we need to back up. So some companies are savvy to this, and they'll basically get you to pay for every single user. I don't know if AFI.ai does now, but when I tested it, they didn't. So you could just basically pay for the minimum of 5, and it doesn't matter if you've got 5 or 50 or 100 employees, you can selectively choose who it is that you're going to back up, and that can massively reduce costs as well. So that's about it, really. Just the what ifs for this. The what if you don't do it? So I've described, I'm not going to go in again, I've described the nightmares that I've had when staff have left, when I've been an idiot and deleted things, or when clients have said, they've lost whole projects in Asana and in your task management app. And so just doing these simple steps, cost, $20, $30, $40 or pounds a month to get this absolute peace of mind. It means that I can literally not have to stress about this anymore. And it's the sort of thing that you don't, now I've probably listened to this episode, it's going to bug you on the back of your mind. So you're going to have to go do it now. And as always, I'm not going to fill it with any of these programs. I'm just doing this because this is useful stuff that I think that I've learned and I think that you will find useful. Doing this sort of thing, it protects against malicious attacks. It protects against, in many cases, ransom attacks as well. Someone locks your computer out so you can't get in. No worries, because I've got it all backed up 2 times in the cloud in different locations. So you probably haven't got them as well. So you can then circumnavigate that kind of thing. It allows you to save any Zoom meeting you want without having to worry about, the storage limits or costs or anything. And yeah, just you can restore data at the click of a button, go incrementally back, see your history, see what you deleted my mistakes, see old versions and stuff, all sat there for 10 years or however long you choose. And so it just basically makes life a lot easier. I just think it's definitely worth it for the small price that these companies charge. Cool. So that's it for today. Hope you found it useful. If you have, please, as always, leave us a comment, leave us a review. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please do give us some stars. 5 is always nice. Leave us a quick review and let us know if there's any topics you'd like me to cover. I'm happy to do something on request as well. If not, you'll just get what you're given, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And yeah, please do share this with your friends and families, and let's get the help as many people as we can. There you go. See you later. Have a nice day. Bye.